In silence. Sometimes we suffer in silence because we think silence is the only way to quiet the noise around us. Sometimes we suffer in silence because we think that no one cares about what's troubling us. Men aren't supposed to feel anything, right? Working hard while neglecting to work on ourselves, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, all ignored as long as we're providing financial wealth. Get rich or die trying. Don't share how you're really feeling or get caught crying. We're supposed to lead whether we're broken or whole. We're supposed to man up in every situation, not realizing that everyone needs help every once in a while until too much pressure has taken its toll. Sometimes we suffer in silence because the one time we did open up, they laughed at us. Sometimes we suffer in silence because we're afraid of how we'll look and what people will think of us. Sometimes we suffer in silence because we've convinced ourselves that nobody understands us, because sometimes it feels like we don't know who we are ourselves. Sometimes we just have to step out on faith before it's too late, and the people we love most will be hearing about us instead of from us. Black Out Loud Media Group. Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, TheBrownSugarCafe.blog, and if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. This is the season finale. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to this season and to everyone who's made this season a success. Last month I went in. I had 8 episodes with 8 amazing poets. So please, if you haven't had a chance, go back and check that out. My most recent episode was with Coach Lee and we talked about goal setting and accountability. So check that out. But the poets I had, man, where do I start? I had Will Davis, Tethered Word Poetry. I had Rosemary Turner. I had Asia May, Charleston Poet Laureate, Chanel Gabriel, Mr. Sleep for Me, Bryant L. Brown, Lisa Spears, and Jennifer Bartell Boykin, the Columbia Poet Laureate. So please go back and check out those episodes. Check out the whole season if you missed it. And also during this time, I was a guest on several podcasts talking about my latest book, Paint is Not Our Only Paintbrush. I was on Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. Wise going live at 5. I was on that platform twice. Shout out to Wise. The Gullah Business of Charleston. They have a podcast spotlighting black businesses, so go check them out. Really good conversation with those ladies. The Mavcast. I was on the Mavcast. I'm also a co-host with Charlie. We have Pass the Remote, so check that out. Do What You Love with Kate Volman. That was an amazing podcast. I was on Create for No Reason or other podcasts before, so it was really cool being a return guest. Interludes. I was on Interludes once again with the amazing Val the Voice Johnson. And last but not least, I was on Uncovering Truth with Grace with Dr. Rose Schmidt. So please check out all of those episodes. They're somewhere on my social media. I'll try to put them in the show description, but if not, you can hit me up and get those links, so check those out. Also, shout out Black Out Loud Media Group. The wonderful world of Mr. Rasa is back. He's found his groove. He's podcasting again. Good to see you out there, brother. The Troublemakers Podcast still going strong. We got Charlie Maverick and his mother are back with Jesus Takes the Wheel. This is one of my favorite podcasts. I've said this many times before. It's nothing like a conversation between a mother and son. And also, like I said, check out Pass the Remote with me and Charlie. It's a really good podcast where we talk about TV shows and movies. If I've forgotten anybody, please charge it to my mind, not my heart. But we're going to get into the season finale. June is Black Music Month. I love music. Anybody who knows me knows that Black Music Month is a really big time for me. Get to spotlight black artists and different types of black music across different genres. And also, this is my birthday month, so This episode you're listening to now is dropping on my birthday, June 7th. And all month long, I will have a sale on my latest book, Paint is Not Our Only Paintbrush. So go to my website, TheBrownSugarCafe.blog. The link is in the description. Please get a copy from me. Been getting some really great reviews and feedback on this book. This was a labor of love. I did, like I've said before, I made sure that I put some color and some life into this book. And I wanted to delve into topics and I wanted to kind of reach out to more of a male audience, but it's a book for everybody. So no code is needed. Just go hit up my website, TheBrownSugarCafe.blog. All month long, my book will be on sale. So please grab you a copy or 2 or 3. They make a great gift. And also June is Men's Mental Health Month, which my book, when I wrote the book, I was thinking that I needed to produce something that had a more male targeted audience. So Paint is Not Our Only Paintbrush. It dives into some things that we deal with, as far as like the poem I opened with. That was a new poem, by the way. It's called In Silence. I put that on my blog recently. So if you haven't subscribed to TheBrownSugarCafe.blog, make sure you subscribe. Every Wednesday I drop a new poem. So I thought this poem would be very fitting for this time of year. And men's mental health, men's health is something that we should take time and focus on any time of year. But certain things we set out time in the calendar to spotlight, and that's cool. But just make sure you're not only celebrating these things during those months, but every day. Last month was mental health awareness, and this month is men's health, mental awareness. And I was doing just a lot of thinking about that, as far as when it comes to people and their mental health and the people we associate ourselves with and what we're doing for ourselves. Historically, we've been taught that it's not okay to be selfish. And the older we've gotten, the more we've lived, we realize that there are different types of selfishness. The selfishness that we were taught about, I believe, was just as far as not sharing something with somebody if you have the ability to share with them, or helping them if you have the ability to help them. But what about our time and what we're putting our efforts into? Sometimes we need to be a little selfish with that, especially if you're not getting any type of reciprocation for the things that you're putting out. And I understand a lot of us, myself included, are people who just naturally supporters of other people, whether it be on social media or whether it be behind the scenes. I'm one of those people who I try to support you on social media, and a lot of supporting that I do is offline, having conversations with people. I'll shout somebody out, tell somebody they should check out somebody's podcast, somebody's book, whatever somebody's doing. And I think a lot of times we neglect the fact that if we're not seeing it on social media, then nobody's doing it, which is not necessarily true. And when supporting people, always remember that your supporting people should be genuine. Now, there may be some times where you're supporting someone and it's transactional, and that's cool, but you should always lead with supporting people because you believe in what they do. Or maybe you all are in the same industry and you see a fellow artist, because I'm a poet, a writer, author, and I understand how it is putting your work out there and how much strength it takes to be vulnerable to share stuff with people, and how creating a book is a real big thing. So I always try to big up people who've written books, who've published books, people who are in the process of writing books. And it's not always on social media. Sometimes it's like, for instance, my podcast. I've spotlighted authors this past season, and I will have some more authors on next season. I'm looking to have some artists on next season, some more podcast hosts, more people doing things in the community. So be on the lookout for that. But I said all that to say, just make sure you're giving with a genuine heart and you're not looking for something in return. Because I believe the more you put out, the more you get back. And as a person who doesn't always see the reciprocation for the things that I do for help people, I know that generally I'm reaping the rewards for just being a generous person. Now, Now, everybody doesn't see it that way, and that's cool. But what I'm trying to get you to do is to see that everybody's level of support is different. Some people don't have the capacity to support you the way that you think they should. Some people think how they support you is enough. Some people just think that you already have enough supporters, so you don't need their support. And we don't really have that conversation with our friends and families like I think we should, because we just assume because they're our friends and family that they'll support us and they should be the first people in line. And then on the other side, they assume that we're good and we don't need their help and support. But regardless of what we're doing, regardless of what you're doing, always make sure to support your friends and family. If they're doing something positive, now if they're doing something crazy or dangerous, then of course, you don't want to support that. But if they're doing something positive, if they have a dream, if they have a goal, and it's a way that you can back that up and support them, please make sure you do so. Even if it's something that you're not interested in, I promise you have a colleague, a friend, another family member on the other side, or somebody who can relate to whatever that person is doing. It doesn't always have to be something that benefits you. That's something else I think we need to kind of get off of. Like, if somebody's approaching us with something and they're needing help, or they have an idea they're sharing with you and it's not your thing, cool, but you know somebody, I promise you know somebody who it can benefit. So instead of just saying, okay, cool, that's not my thing, or scrolling past that post, or not even commenting on the post or liking the post. And I get that, I have this conversation with people a lot when it comes to liking posts. Everybody doesn't see your post. That's cool. Most times, the people who are going to support you are going to be strangers. It's very sad but true, but I want to challenge us to do better when it comes to that. And also, don't be afraid to reach out and let people know what you're doing. Sometimes people aren't supporting you because they don't know what you're doing. They didn't see that post that you put up. Regardless of what some people seem to think, what they fail to realize is that the algorithm depends on us. And if you're not liking and engaging with other people's posts, commenting on other people's posts, anything with somebody else's, you're not going to be included in that algorithm. You have to be a part of the engagement to receive engagement. That goes back to that reciprocation part. You can't ask for something if you're not given the same thing in return. That's a case where it's actually proven. Like, if you're just scrolling past people's posts and not liking people's posts and just showing up when it's time for you to post something, and you're wondering why your engagement is low and you only have 2-3 people liking your stuff, or nobody, because you're not showing up for other people. Social media is even telling you that if you're not showing up for other people, you won't reap the benefits in return. So think about that. Show up for people the way they show up for you. Find a way to show up for people. Ask them what they need for support. That'll be the easiest way that you can make sure that you're supporting the person the way they need to be. Ask them what they need from you for support. And speaking of support, back to the mental health and Men's Mental Health Month. Fellas, I was just on another podcast. Forgot to mention, Confused the Focus with Lakeisha. I just talked about this mental health awareness and how us as men, we don't talk enough. We don't share our feelings with people. We keep things bottled inside. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't find any way to release that pressure, that pain, whatever's going on with us. I can't say this enough. Find you somebody to talk to. Find you someone to talk to. Find you somebody that will listen. If it's to the point where you need to talk to somebody professional, find somebody professional to talk to. There's websites, there's telephone numbers, there are all types of resources that can help you. If you don't know if you've reached that point where you need to talk to somebody professional, that's a good reason to reach out to somebody professional and talk to them about it. Find a friend or family member or somebody that you can trust to talk to. Some of you are probably saying you don't have that in your life. Well, you could find people online. It's so many different platforms out there, different groups where you could reach out to people and connect with other people and have a conversation about what's really going on. Now, I know as men, that's hard for us to find, but There are plenty of spaces, you'd be surprised, where we can just come together and have a discussion and talk about life and talk about our different challenges. In fact, that's one of the things that I want to do next season in my podcast, is have some sit down conversations with different men from different walks of life, and we just talk about the things that we have dealt with, the things that we are dealing with, and try to come up with a solution on how we can get better at life. How can we be better people in general, for ourselves first, and better people for everyone around us. And so this month, if you're listening to this, fellas, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're taking care of your physical health, your spiritual health. Make sure you're getting the things that you need. Make sure you get plenty of rest. That's very important. I know we grind all day, every day, but sometimes you just need to slow down and take some rest. Get a good night's sleep. Might be easier said than done because you have 1,000 things running through your head, but make sure you find that time during the day where you can get some rest. Make sure you find that time during the day where you can decompress, where you could turn off your phone, turn on some music, or sit in silence and just sit with your thoughts. And if sitting with your thoughts is something that scares you, then find a resource to where you can explore why that scares you and get to sitting in your thoughts. Back to the professional help. Getting with somebody professional is how you can sit with your thoughts, and they can show you how to sit with your thoughts, help you process your thoughts. Please do so. And before I get out of here, I just wanted to say, make sure you check on your strong friends. We are not always okay. And it doesn't matter what type of situation we're in, whether we have spouses, families, or whatever. You still need to check on your strong friends and make sure they're okay. If you see them on social media, that means nothing at all. A lot of times people schedule posts. A lot of people just blindly interact on social media. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but some people are not really engaged in what they do on social media. It's almost like a pastime. And so you can't gauge how some people put all their business on social media, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. But some people, you cannot gauge how they're doing just by their posts on social media. I personally have seen people who I thought were okay because they were just laughing and joking and doing stuff on social media, and then come to find out they're not here anymore because life got too hard for them. And everybody's shocked because it's like, wow, they're always having fun, they're always laughing and having a good time, but you don't know. So reach out to your people, reach out to your strong friends. Make sure you check on everybody, especially the people who are near and dear to you. If you see somebody troubled and there's something you can do, and you don't always have to have the answer, you don't always have to listen and give them some sort of result or give them some advice. Sometimes all they need is for you to listen. Sometimes all they need for you to do is sit in silence and let them talk. So offer them that. Like, hey, if you ever need to talk about anything, I don't have to say anything back, but I'm here to listen to you. And if you need some help with something, I'm here. I'm cool with that. If you don't need my help with anything, I'm cool with that either. But just know that the door is always open and I'm always here for you if you need me. So let's do better about taking care of ourselves, and let's do better about taking care of the people that are around us, the people that are important to us. Don't let this whole idea of reciprocation and you not seeing what they're doing for you keep you from. And I had a thought the other day that a lot of people are not where they're supposed to be right now in life because they've cut off the very people who were supposed to help them. For the craziest things, the most smallest things, they've cut these people off. And that was the very person or people who was in your life to help you get to where you were going. They were the people who could provide you with the assistance that you needed, whether directly or indirectly. But you severed those relationships because of something small. And the majority of the time, it's a misunderstanding, miscommunication. But you never had the conversation to find out what the problem was. So have more conversations with people. We need to have conversations where there's actual communication, not just talking to each other. You can talk to somebody all day and still not communicate with them. When you communicate with someone, is you getting of an understanding of what they're thinking, what they're saying, and they get an understanding of what you're thinking and what you're saying. And both or all parties leave the conversation with the understanding. Doesn't mean you have to agree with the other person, but you at least understand their point and you see where they're coming from. So let's have more communication. Let's reach out to our people more. Men, let's take care of our mental health so we can be there for our loved ones. Ladies, make sure that you're being there for the man in your life, whether it's romantically, family, men in your family. If there's something you can do to help, if there's a safe space that you can provide, please make that known. But whatever you do, just remember, every day is not going to be a good day for everybody. Every day is not going to be a bad day for everybody. But what we do in those days helps prepare us for the future, whether good or bad. So make the most of your time. And again, I can't say this enough. Talk to somebody if you need to talk to somebody. Hey, if you need to hit me up, and I'm there just to listen. If you need to hit me up to shoot some advice, some stuff off of it, get some advice, hit me up. I'm here. Anybody who knows me, I'm very unbiased. Maybe you don't want to have a conversation with me because I'm not going to take your side if I see that there's some fault in there. But at the same time, how are you going to get better if you don't have people around you who can correct you when you're wrong? Let that sit in. So before I get out of here, I just want to remind you that my book is on sale all month long. Paint is not our only paintbrush, so go to the website and check that out. Go check out the previous episodes. If you missed any of this season, be on the lookout for next season. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build the YouTube channel, trying to get some videos out there for you. Next season, I'm looking into doing some videos with the podcast, so be on the lookout for that. Also, subscribe to Pastor Remote, where I'm a co-host, and my barbecue channel at TW-BBQ. Trying to build my barbecue YouTube channel, so check that out. If you're into food and barbecue content, check that out on Instagram as well. I always forget to include that on this podcast, so make sure you check out my barbecue page, TW.BBQ on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and like I said, TW-BBQ on YouTube. So as always, take care of yourselves and remember, keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, TheBrownSugarCafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at TheBrownSugarCafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.